Welcome to Josh's House of Nerd podcast.
Hello, Nerd Nation. I'm Josh, and I welcome you to the podcast. Please grab a cold evergreen goblet of blue milk and make yourself comfortable here at my House of Nerd. Today on the podcast, we're on the topic of the month, which is character study movies. And tonight's movie, which is my pick, which is the 2010 psychological horror directed by Darren Aronofsky, starring Natalie Portman, Vincent Cassel, and Mila Kunis, Barbara Hershey, Winona Ryder, Sebastian Stan, which is Black Swan. Black Swan revolves around a production of Tchaikovsky's Swan Lake at the New York Ballet Company. The production requires a ballerina to play the innocent and fragile white swan and the dark and sensual black swan, which is played by Natalie Portman, and she has a friend, Mila Kunis. Nina is overwhelmed by a feeling of immense pressure for being the white swan when she finds herself competing with the role of Mila Kunis's role, causing her to lose tenuous grip on the reality and descend into madness. And I just totally botched that. So hopefully you stayed with me in that introduction, everybody.
You've always
Let's talk about Black Swan, guys. This is a crazy movie, guys. I picked it. One of the reasons I picked Black Swan is I'd heard a lot of things about it. When Crit picked character studies, I was like, hey, this might be my opportunity to watch it. And because I heard of how just wild it was, and it didn't disappoint on how wild it was. But I've always wanted to see it and see what everybody's been talking about. And it definitely sucked me in, and it kind of had me going the whole time of, with many thoughts of what the hell is going on. Lots of that in this movie. Like, what in the hell's going on? I don't know what this is about, but it's interesting. It's interesting. Had you guys seen this movie before this, both of you? Hello?
No, sorry. I was waiting for Crit to talk, and Crit was.
Oh, okay. I thought maybe we had gotten cut off or something. Sorry. Go ahead.
Go ahead, Crit.
No, I hadn't seen it before.
And I had not seen it either.
You hadn't?
No, I had not.
Okay. Because I really wanted to see this movie, and like I said, it's a wild, crazy ride. I thought Natalie Portman did a fantastic job. You know what? I think that everybody acted very well in this movie. I thought the cinematography was fantastic in this movie, very well done, and overall, it's I enjoyed this movie, even though I think it was a little wild, a little crazy. What did you guys think about it?
Well, if I can give a spoiler to my review, this is not something I would ever watch with my mother. The black sensual swan, is definitely present during the whole thing, and it's interesting. I enjoyed it. At the same time, it was just like watching a train wreck in slow motion.
I can't deny that.
I have a little bit of a not. I have an inner glimpse into how these dance companies work. My wife and my sister-in-law and my in-laws were involved in a very big dance company in Reno. And, I got to see the inner workings of that and like how competitive it is and how insane like ballet is, especially with competition. And it's, this is what I imagined the competition and stuff to be like. So I think they did a good job of at least capturing my imagination's view of what competition in a big dance company would be like, and how intense that whole operation is.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. hopefully, you always see it talked about in like movies like this, like dance movies, or of how much the competition is, and you always wonder, is it really truly that level that they show, or is it very much heightened and amplified, and
Well, I'm assuming it's amplified at least some ways. I mean, it's a movie. It's still not going to be like let's capture, because I bet you it is a little more boring than this in real life. I would think.
Right. Hopefully.
So yeah, hopefully, because if not, like, wow, there should be a new reality show. They'd make bank. I'm sure I think there's already reality shows on dance companies and ballet companies, so it's not never mind. That doesn't make sense. But no, it was intense. I don't know that I'll ever watch it again. Because I don't know, like I said, it was watching a train wreck in motion, and it was just like it wasn't quite secondhand embarrassment level, but it was kind of cringy. It was just like, oh no, oh, like, and you want people to succeed, and so when you don't see people succeed, or you see people doing crazy stuff, you just kind of want to empathize with that, I guess. And so this movie made it a lot harder to kind of empathize or want to continue to empathize with the main
Can I ask you a
character, if that
question
makes
about what
sense.
you're kind of saying here?
Mhm.
You're saying you don't want to watch it and stuff. What are you referring to exactly? Are you referring to like the acting? Are you referring to the overall story? Overall,
The situations that she's putting herself
okay.
in, yeah, that, like, and just the empathizing with those situations, and then like, I'm just trying to think of a good way of, like, it's not these situations are not something I would be comfortable with. I'm not a super competitive person. I don't want to be put in a competitive area. Like, I'm fine competing for roles, but at the same time, it's like not something I'd want to do. Like, I'd much prefer to give it up to somebody if it, something is like, in the software engineering world, if we were back in the days of original Facebook, where when we watched The Social Network, they had that competition where they were hacking, to try to see who's going to be the next employee. Like, that's not something I would ever do. And
Yeah, the same way.
so the competition aspect of this, and like the situational, trying to maintain your rank and trying to maintain where you're at, like, it's hard for me to empathize with or want to empathize with. I don't think it's hard to empathize, but it's hard to want to continue to empathize and feel that, because it's not something I'm comfortable with.
No, I'm the same way. I'm not comfortable with that portion of it either. It does make me cringe a little bit. I know a lot of people around me who are that way. Um, and I've never understood that drive. I know that people have that drive, and it's funny. It does come up in a certain aspects of my life, that drive of wanting to be good, wanting to be better. But sometimes I also have a hard time sometimes empathizing with why would I go to, well, why would I go to killing myself? Like what happens in this movie, basically. Spoilers. To be able to, in the drive to be perfect.
Well, and I think that speaks to the quality of the movie. I think this is a very good. I don't. I want to say it's a well done movie because it can put
Mm-hmm.
you in the situation of having that empathetic conundrum, like, that battle of, like, okay, do I really want to be empathetic? Is this something I really want to deal with? So I think in that sense, the movie does a really good job of putting you in those shoes, even if you don't want to be, and like
Mm-hmm.
highlighting that. Yeah, so that's interesting to me. The I don't know if it's quite, and Crit might want to weigh in on this, if it's quite unreliable narrator level with. I think so, because you also don't know as the viewer, like, what's real and what's not. um so I don't know if that's quite unreliable narrator or not. I don't know if you would classify it as that.
That
I
is
get the
interesting.
I get the same feeling that from I'm thinking of ending things. Like the endings are
Mhm.
almost similar in a way, sort of. in their ambiguity. Sort of. Black Swan seems to be very definitive about its ending. That she may not have died, but she definitely stabbed herself, and she's definitely bleeding out in front of the audience. You know, it's an interesting. Like I wasn't really focused too much on the competition thing. I know that's what's kind of driving the plot of the movie. But I was thinking more along the lines of, you know, the goal of perfection, like to be to be perfect at what you've dedicated your life at. And if you are already in, I mean, to some degree that drive can be destabilizing, like just from your worldview and stuff like that. So like if you're already kind of in a shaky area mentally, and then you're just like, you have to stretch beyond your limits to meet what you think perfection is, or or even worse, what the people around you think perfection is. That you can easily break yourself upon that ambition, and I'm always kind of struck by that in this movie, and that kind of breaking yourself in order to be the best.
Mm-hmm.
Well, and that's what happens in ballet. I mean, they literally break their feet. Like my sister-in-law, the reason she decided not to continue and not to go into the insane competition is just how badly dancing point ruins your feet in the long term. And she's just like, I don't want that. But in order to compete at the highest levels, you're doing things that are going to wreck your feet for the rest of your life. And that's just that's a normal part of life in dancing point and in ballet. So like, yeah, I think you're right, Crit, in the fact that this movie did a really good job of capturing that ideal, that killing yourself for perfectionism and ruining your future in order to achieve something now.
In the drive that she had, it was really interesting. Some of the things that kind of hurt, what caused her drive to want to be that reflection. Sometimes that drive wasn't necessarily maybe exactly hers. It was being pushed by somebody else. And I'm referring to her mother, Barbara
Her
Hershey's
mother's
character.
a piece, yeah.
Yeah. Very difficult. Just how horrible she kind of treated her, blaming her own fails in life on her daughter. Her own fails of not becoming the best dancer in the world, and then putting that upon her daughter. What a harsh thing.
That cake scene was actually scary. It was kind of scary, just on the level of manipulation involved.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That was absolutely horrifying. And
you're like,
yet
how can a
people do
human
that.
being do this?
Yeah.
It happens.
It's like, I know it happens, and that's the sad part. It's just like, how far does someone have to fall in viewing other people as human beings to be able to do this? Like, it's just nuts.
And not only that, to always put the blame on their children or other people that they didn't reach their highs and stuff like that. It also, and I can see that, her drive. I mean, the maddening part being also spawned by her mother, always constantly driving her to be the best, treating her as a fragile rose, treating her as, very breakable, very, but at the same time pushing her to be what she wasn't, what she thought she should be. That in itself is maddening. Even in my own life, I've come across things of not feeling like sometimes I feel like, I'm going to put this out there that I love my dad. But sometimes I feel like I haven't met up to his expectations, of who I should have been, maybe more of a sports guy, even though I'm the nerdy tech guy. Sometimes I feel that way. And, I've come more to terms with it now, but before I did come to terms with that, it's kind of more of like, I could see how she's going through this path of, this maybe what is my dream, but it's kind of not, but I'm doing it because I know that my mom wants me to, or my parents or somebody wants me to do that, because that's what makes them make me feel like I'm accomplishing something, I always felt like, because my dad's a golfer and I'm not a golfer, that made me less in his eyes, type thing. And I sometimes I looked at that when I was kind of felt a little bit of a mirroring in that of, she felt like she had to go and be the best and be perfection. If not, her mom wouldn't, be her mom, wouldn't, treat her right.
So I guess that comes down to asking the motivation then. What is Natalie Portman's character's main motivation for achieving perfectionism? Is it pleasing her mother? Is it perfectionism in and of itself? Is it being the best? Like, what do you guys think that motivation then is for Portman's character?
I think it started with her mom, but then I think it became the drive from her mom for perfection. And this is just kind of the way I see it, is that started to drive her into this madness. And then kind of from that, it kind of ignited the madness within her to continue that self-driving, that's motivation to be the best. With her mom coming, maybe fueling that fire in the background. That's kind of the way I see it. And that's where kind of the competition comes in. And, her feeling like, Mila Kunis's character is going to pull that away from her, and that she'll never attain this perfection that she wants to be, or that her mom wanted her to be. I think that's fueling her fire, at least from my point of view. Your thoughts?
Yeah. No, I agree. That makes sense to me.
Does it?
Yeah, I think I'm in that same boat too. So that's interesting that we kind of all fell on the same spectrum with regards to that, though.
That doesn't happen that's not very common with all of three of us.
I was about to say, I was like, that's a little weird. Or like, are we all reading from the same script? Like, what's going on here?
Yeah, aren't you on page 2 in the middle? No.
Oh, we haven't talked about our random cast members yet at all. So I think that speaks to the driving force of this movie. Like, it was really good to. Like I said, I'm not going to watch it again, but I don't regret having watched it.
I would agree
if that makes sense.
I would agree with that fully.
The whole awkward sex scene thing aside, like, this movie was like a roller coaster train wreck together type deal.
You keep saying that, but is that a good thing or a bad thing?
It's an okay thing. Like, it worked it worked in this movie. Like, it was the slow descent into madness is it's a train wreck into madness. So it's the same thing, and I think they did a good job of capturing that. So the fact that I felt like I was watching this descent into madness, I think they did a good job in illustrating that.
Well, and I think you pointed to it from early on too. Like, some of the things that they really did, I think, well, was, and it kind of like goes back to bringing up thinking about anything. What you struggle to. Sometimes you're pretty sure what's real, and sometimes you're pretty sure you're not sure if it's real, and then you find out later it definitely wasn't. It's I mean, especially like when she kills her mom. No, wait, is it her mom she kills?
No,
it's Mila Kunis's character.
Yeah, that's right. Well, doesn't kill,
but she doesn't.
Yeah,
but she doesn't.
At least according to the narrator. Yeah.
No, not just the narrator.
That's true. At the end, it does. Yeah, she comes in.
The mirror's still broken. Everything else. She looks down. She stabbed herself.
She's the one who stabbed herself. Yep. Yeah, that's true. Yep. Yeah, so I guess that's not unreliable narrator. That's just watching her hallucinate.
Yeah, essentially.
Hallucinate and drop more and more and more into the madness.
Maybe she never got off that ecstasy.
Well, it's interesting the double aspect of it, kind of the doppelganger approach to the storytelling of kind of the Black Swan representing like this ambition that she never really used previously, and that it kind of takes her over and does the things that she probably wouldn't have done. It's kind of cool.
To be honest, I hadn't really thought about it, that deep on that kind of dual aspect of it. Of her taking it down, that Black Swan maybe driving her to her darker intentions or her darker thoughts in her life. and that it being kind of showing it kind of being a symbolic of her darker side. Now that you say that, I totally see it and I get it. You know, I guess it just didn't like pop into my head as I was watching it, even though it was kind of understood in watching the movie that was what's going on. It's just one of those things it's kind of like you don't process until someone brings it up type scenarios.
Yeah, that's fair.
Yeah. Let me ask you guys about this too. The whole thing about they kind of touch on this from time to time, and it kind of is there, and then it goes away, and then comes back. The whole idea about her like having it almost felt like she was like transforming actually into a swan, like almost like she had wings, or I don't know what the thing on her back was. Is that what was going on? That was one thing that I never quite keyed into about if it was a transformation or something like that.
I just cued it into more hallucinations, really.
Did you?
Mm-hmm.
Because it almost felt like that's where they were wanting to go, but yeah. Go ahead, Chris.
Well, didn't her mom notice that though? Like at the beginning
rashes.
of the movie? Yeah, the rashes at the beginning of the movie. Now that just could be her scratching at that area, which is kind of hard to reach, but she's also a ballerina, so she could probably reach it. She could be causing that to herself, in manic moments, and then,
not remembering it or
and then basically in her mind. So this whole thing reeks of like she's creating a narrative that enables her to get the part that she wants, but it's so subconscious that she's also kind of a passenger on this process that she's driving.
Yeah.
And when she has this idea that she's turning into a swan, turning into the black swan, that, she's actually growing, wings out of her back and stuff like that. And it's like, okay, that's really interesting from like just how a movie tries to represent someone's internal struggle and that transformation. Sure. It's kind of cool.
I definitely thought it was very interesting. If that was really, if I was interpreting it, which sounds like I'm kind of interpreting it similar to kind of what you guys thought too. I thought it was an interesting, I just wanted to make sure that I was interpreting it possibly same. And we don't have to interpret it the same. I just, sometimes it's kind of like, I think I was understanding it going down that path. Because again, there's so many things going on in this movie. You have no idea, it's sometimes hard to guess like if this is just a symbolic thing or if this is really happening, if it isn't. I think that's just the nature of the movie. I mean, Aronofsky is absolutely, this is the kind of movie he does. It's very artistic, very, very what the hell's going on type movies. You want to talk about The Fountain and things like that. Yeah.
Supposedly he considers this a companion movie to The Wrestler.
Wait, what?
Yeah. Like they're both like character study type movies, about a particular, like singular effort on the part of like, the role you play, like the wrestler and then like the ballerina and stuff like that. Like these high keyed personalities, I guess. I'm not sure exactly how to say it.
Did Aronofsky do The Wrestler?
Didn't he?
I think so. Yeah. Fairly certain he did.
Really? I had no idea that was an Aronofsky movie. That is incredible. And stuff. Now we're all looking it up.
He did The Wrestler.
Seriously?
Yeah.
I had no idea. I thought I knew almost all his movies.
The only one I have not seen of his, well, there's many I haven't seen of his, but the only one of his big name ones I haven't seen of his is Requiem for a Dream.
I mean, his movies are so much about obsession that it's kind of a trope. Like what you get with an Aronofsky movie.
That's true, especially The Fountain.
Yeah, well, I mean, all of them: Black Swan, The Wrestler, The Fountain, Pi. They're all about obsession in some way.
I guess the only other one I have seen is The Fountain. I really want to see The Whale. And I've been hesitant to see Mother. That would just.
I almost. I wish. So I looked up The only I really want to now, I really wanted to put Whale on my picks, and I'm spoiling some of my picks for you, but it's just not out yet, and I really want to see it. Like, it's so interesting to me, and I hadn't realized like how attached it was, and so I'm really excited to watch it, like you're saying, and I really wish
I am too.
it was out because it would be really, really good to see, and just the fact that it's I think a very triumphant return for Brendan Fraser as well, so it would be excellent to watch that. Yeah.
So, Josh, why don't you
Yeah.
want to see Mother?
It just looks it's kind of from what I've read about it. I haven't read too much about it because I don't want it to. I don't know. There's been this. I've had this kind of a little bit of a stigma against. I've been against watching movies lately. Not because I won't watch them. Not because I like have something against them. I've gotten a little bit. I got a little tired for a while when it came to some of the genres of horror. And it's very much
it's not a horror movie at all. It was
It's
marketed
not-
incorrectly. Yeah.
Yes.
It's a
marketed.
psychological. It's more
a
of a
comedy.
psychological. Right? Is it really?
I mean, kinda, yeah. It's
Yeah.
a psychological comedy, but it is certainly not a horror movie.
Yeah,
Really?
you
Because
should watch
that's
it.
one. That's one of the hesitations I had against seeing it. It kind of looked like an icky horror movie, almost like a torture type icky horror movie, and I kind of just I can't get myself into that frame of mind to watch it because I was thinking that's what it is.
Yeah, no, I don't know if I enjoyed is the right word for that film, but it was also,
And I hear that a lot too when people
It was
have
also
seen
another
it.
good Aronofsky. Like,
It's a good Aronofsky film. So you're
Exactly.
going to get what you get in all these in Black Swan, in Mother. It's just going to be very different, but it's not. It was so marketed incorrectly.
yeah,
I thought I was getting more of along the lines of when I was looking at watching it. I almost watched it a couple times. What's the summer? What's the movie we watched with the old people jumping off the cliff?
Midsommar.
Midsummer.
Yeah.
I thought it was more of along the lines of a Midsummer.
No.
And that's how they marketed it. Yeah, the
Yes,
marketing
they
was
did.
all wrong. The trailer was all wrong.
Yep.
So now you can understand why I maybe have watched. I mean, I've kind of just had an aversion to those kinds of movies lately,
Mhm.
and not that I wouldn't
Let
watch
me go change
one.
all
I
my
just-
picks now.
That's just
Josh
the
in
reason
an
why
awkward
I've
position.
kind of stayed away from it. I have wanted to see The Wrestler for a long time. The Fountain was interesting.
I watched that one. I watched that one when it came out in the theater in high school, and I went with my
Wow.
friend who's not someone that appreciates Aronofsky. So I did not watch that one with the best company, I guess.
Mhm.
I mean, I didn't hate The Fountain. It was just. It's
No, it was
definitely a
just
different
it was
movie.
interesting. I think you've got to be in the right mindset, and I think that's the same with most Aronofsky films. You've got to be in the right mindset for what he's pushing.
I get that, and I find it funny that you kind of compared it to. I'm thinking about ending things because I know I keep going back to that because it does have some similar feels, and this might be spoilers, but I'm just going to tell you I liked it more than I'm thinking about ending things.
Which is weird because I'm the exact opposite. I think about anything more, but not. I think that's actually for me that has more to do with. It's easier for me to empathize with the old man trying to trying to justify his life in some way.
Yeah, exactly.
And stuff like it. Like it's just I could see that creeping up as something that you'd be looking back on. So it's a lot easier to empathize than like the highest level of ballerina. And attempting to do something that is only few people on the planet can physically do at the highest level, and it's like, okay, I can see how that pressure would get to you and break you, but I don't live in that world, so it's hard to
That
it's
is
hard to
interesting that you
completely
say that
empathize
too.
with.
That is interesting you say that because I actually am with you on the way that you just kind of explained that. I can relate because we were just saying how we couldn't relate to her a lot of her circumstances and things like that. But you're right. I'm thinking about anything that is more relatable in the sense that you just explained. That is now looking back on that movie, which I know you've said I need to watch that movie again. Even though
the second
it's difficult.
time really pays for the first time. So yeah.
Now that I know that that's what's going on, I can see where that would be when you're looking at that perspective of that movie. It'd be interesting about that to kind of see it from that, and it probably definitely brings more understanding to that. I think watching this one second time, kind of looping it back, I don't know if I would get better understanding, maybe a little bit, but I won't think I could empathize even better with her like I probably would with the old man in, I'm thinking about anything's.
Yeah.
Even though I still don't think I'd like the movie, I think I would just understand it better.
That's
I think
fair.
I would understand it better, which would probably bring my like level up a little bit, but I think this one, I think in some ways this was, I don't know, for some reason I was able to connect with this one a little bit more. Maybe I could understand, even though I couldn't empathize, I was understanding kind of what was going on a little bit better than I'm thinking about and things, which if you notice movies that I don't understand maybe what's going on as well, I have a tendency, of course, not to like, which is what happened.
Yeah,
movie.
I don't think Black Swan goes as deep on its metaphor and kind of makes it as confusing to watch as Kaufman's film. So
yeah.
To
kind of give a kind of a contrast of probably why, between those two movies, why I dislike one maybe a little bit more than the other.
The motivation in this movie is a lot easier. The other movie is the motivation is so opaque until you get to the very end, and then you're still like, okay, if you really want to get it, you got to watch it again. And maybe if you didn't enjoy it, you probably won't watch it again. So
I would heavily agree with that.
Yep. And also, it's a depressing movie. Like, you just don't necessarily want to turn that on every time you're, hey, grab some popcorn, sit down and watch a depressing movie. And it's more of a mood.
Yeah. Well, you just want to make sure you have like the guns locked up, the knives put away, a dull spoon locked in the drawer, things. What? I'm not saying anything.
Someone, or more likely, someone close by to tell you it's okay. You actually matter.
Right. Right. He doesn't feel like he matters, but you do matter, Josh. You
exactly.
matter.
Exactly.
As that person pats your hand or something.
Yep.
Oh my goodness. Anyways, is there anything else you guys wanted to bring about this movie? This was a very intricate movie, very deep in many ways.
I'm good.
Yeah, I think I've talked about everything I've talked about too. Except for one thing. I wanted to bring up one more thing before we go to reviews. I found it interesting when I was looking up this movie about the budget that it made
so much money.
Yeah,
I know.
It was like 13 million in budget and made like what, 350?
$329 million.
Is that just the strength of the cast?
I think so. Natalie, I don't know. Natalie Portman. This was done in 2010, so it was
people showed up for this movie. So
yeah.
I can see there was maybe a little bit of a carryover from maybe the Star Wars times when she was in them, and Mila Kunis was still pretty popular coming off of that 70s show and things like that. Even though she was coming into her own, independent actress. So, anyways, I could see there was definitely a draw to the actresses, a little bit from that, and a little bit just from the premise, possibly. So, anyways, okay. That's the only other thing I wanted to bring up. I just thought it was quite a contrast about how much money this thing made versus what the budget was. And yet, you hear that much money and it's usually that low of a budget movie. And you think sometimes it feels that way. This movie definitely didn't feel that way in my sense of the way that it was directed and, and the look, the high grade actors. Anyways, it definitely felt like a higher production movie, even though if you think about there wasn't a lot of like sets. It was a lot in a very, similar, smaller locations, but it felt bigger. So anyways, all right, let's go to reviews then, guys. I guess I'll start. I gave this one. I said it was going to be higher, but how much higher than the other movie? I actually did like this movie. I gave it a 6 out of 10 because it did bring my attention. I thought it was a little weird. Again, kind of counted against kind of what you were saying, John. I don't think I would ever watch this again. It was a little kind of confusing, a little out there, but I liked it enough to give it, because usually once I start going to the 7s and higher, that's usually when I really like the movies. So I had to keep this a little bit low, but I wanted to kind of call out it looked beautiful. The acting was fantastic. And I thought it was very well, meshed together, kind of her definitely going crazy. So anyways, that's my rating.
I wouldn't watch this with my mother for obvious and many reasons.
That would be an interesting couch.
Yeah.
For many parts
especially
of the
during the oral sex scene. Yeah. That would have been a fun one to, to watch with your mom.
Yep.
Oh my goodness. Yeah, don't watch with that with your mom. Your poor mom. Crit, what'd you think, bud?
I gave this an 8 out of 10. I think it set out to do exactly what it wanted to, and it did that really well. I don't like it, like other slightly depressing, disturbing movies. I probably won't just voluntarily, watch it every once in a while, but I do appreciate what they did with the movie and kind of what it got across. So, and yeah, it was definitely had my attention the whole time. So,
me too. It was hard. I didn't necessarily want to give it like an 8, but I didn't want to give it a low score because it definitely kept my attention as well. Yeah. I definitely was not bored. Even though it had a slower pace and stuff. So I totally agree with what you say, Crit.
Cool.
Even though mine was a little bit lower, a lot of the same reasons. So all right, good watch, guys. Unexpected. This is not a movie I thought I would expect to pick, but definitely one I'm glad I watched. And if someone asked me if I should watch it, I would say yeah, probably. All right, John. John's got the movies for next time. Let's give us our picks, John.
Yep. The first one is Keep That Meter Running.
Okay.
The second one is How to Smile. And the third one is Old Enough to Not Do Anything. So, Keep That Meter Running, How to Smile, and Old Enough to Not Do Anything.
Do you have any favorites that you're picking up?
I'm good with any of them.
I don't know. That's the one that's kind of sticking to my head.
What one?
Either the first one or the second one, which was, I don't know. That third one sounds very compelling. What was the old one?
Old Enough to Not Do Anything.
I don't know. I'm kind of leaning towards that one, Crit.
Okay, let's do Old Enough to Not Do Anything.
Okay, that makes me really happy. I just want to point that out.
Oh no! Another
yes.
pick.
No, all of them are excellent. I would have been happy with all of them, but I'm especially happy with this one, and you'll see it in a second. So, Keep That Meter Running was the second time Taxi Driver has shown up here.
Oh my goodness!
Yeah, that one was pretty off the cuff. I was like, that one should be pretty obvious. How to Smile was not Joker. It was Nightcrawler.
Oh, that's an interesting movie.
Well, I think that would have been excellent too. So
that would have been a very interesting movie. Yeah, I agree.
Taking away all my picks from next week.
Yeah, I know exactly. Old Enough Not to Do Anything is Bo Burnham's 8th Grade.
I don't even know if I've ever even heard of this one.
Yep, it is an excellent. I think it's
spoilers. Spoilers.
Yeah, I won't give me spoilers. Sorry. So my spoilers. But yeah, no, 8th Grade. It was directed and written by Bo Burnham, one of my all-time favorite comedians and just content creators and just artists in general. So I'm really happy you guys picked that one. So
the only one that I haven't seen Taxi Driver either. One of these days it'll get. Yeah, no, I have not. But a Nightcrawler I had seen. So, But 8th grade, I'd never even heard of this one, so I'm excited to go see it. All right. Okay, guys. I think we had a wonderful discussion tonight, and I appreciate everybody for being here. And I'm excited to hear more about this movie or see this movie next week. And to everybody out there listening, thank you for supporting our channel. We've had a little bit of an uptick of people joining and watching, and we appreciate it. Please continue to click the like button and let us know if you liked what you're hearing. And as always, may you be excellent to each other and live long and prosper from all of us here at Josh's House of Nerds. Have a good night.
Thanks for watching. For more nerdy awesomeness, please like and subscribe and check out our other nerdy videos.